1995 Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, and a member of the 2003-2004 NBA World Champion Detroit Pistons. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Tremaine Fowlkes. So Trey,
Man,
man,
appreciate that.
for sure.
Y'all waiting up for me out there, man.
Yeah.
We had to get it. We had to move some stuff around, but we on now. You see,
Yeah, we're on, Trey, and I'm glad we're finally on, man. We have a lot to talk about, but what I want to do is set kind of a tone for the show. So I want to start in the beginning, okay? About you, I want to find out about you growing up and moving on into, your high school years and college and then pro. So we're going to cover it all, okay? But let's start with, where were you born and raised? What city?
Los Angeles, California, man.
Okay. What part?
You can say that we were in Gardena as I grew up, to about 8, and then we moved to Ladera Heights, which is in the back of Inglewood, between the airport and Inglewood. Basically, my friends were in Inglewood, so I went to Parent, but all my friends went to Crozier.
Right.
And, they were coached by my cousin, and that's Jose Smith. I love you, Jose. You had a great influence on everybody in Inglewood. He's been in the game for about 30 years, getting everybody right. Harold Miner, Stage,
Yep.
etc.
Yep.
So, coming from Inglewood, it was a lot of talent out of there. So, being raised up in there and seeing everybody, everybody had game in. So,
Trey, let's talk about, so you were living in Ladera Heights, and now Inglewood obviously, had, there were concerns with, there was a heavy blood neighborhood, but you're in Ladera Heights. Talk about the dynamic of living in Ladera, but hanging out tough in Inglewood all the time.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I was blessed to be able to walk back to Ladera because Inglewood was hectic. And, I had a lot of friends that gave me advice, and, surviving, you got to have survival tactics in LA to survive. So that means not wearing wear the right color. If no,
always,
your blacks, your black, your gray, solid colors. That's not blue or red. I was doing a lot of walking. We didn't have cars. I was walking to Rogers Park every day. And knowing that you have to be smart on how you move. And I always for basketball. You see me dribbling the basketball, that will keep you out of trouble. So,
absolutely. Talk about who was your favorite athlete growing up in Inglewood?
My favorite athlete in person or on the tube?
Just who you looked up to at the time. Someone that you just like, oh man, I love that guy.
Up to that was from Inglewood was Harold Miner.
It didn't have to be from Inglewood, but if Harold was the guy, talk about Harold.
I loved Harold's game. That was probably the best left-hand player that I've seen. He really taught me to have that grit too. Coming from Inglewood, I had to kind of follow a path of somebody that I saw was successful. And the way Harold moved was very successful. And I said, let me try to follow him, because I see him at the park balling, and I'm up here too. So I said, let's try to follow in his footsteps.
But Trey, you're leaving out the most legendary part of Harold Miner. So my first time I saw Harold, it was at Rogers. Okay. I walk in and he has on some Dockers. And he's doing 360s and windmills and Dockers.
Right.
Trey, did he always wear Dockers and hoop, dog?
Well, Harold was known for the Carl Kanai fit. He would had and Harold wasn't that modern dress, but he wasn't. You didn't expect that from him. Harold was Harold.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats like Jason Works. That's a legend.
Jay Works. Shout out Jay Works.
Yeah, shout out to him. He used to play in Cortez.
Remember Steven Jackson? Steven Jackson,
yeah.
Or Stephen King. Steve
King, shout out to Steve. Steve was my boy. He was a big horse, big bully.
Monster.
I mean, so many, we can go down the list, even though I know this is about me and what I'm trying to get out there to the people. We can go on and on about, talent
Yeah,
that
but
comes out of that
no,
city.
we'll touch on stuff like that later on in the conversation. But I wanted to kind of move on and talk about some of your early influences around junior high school, as far as coaching mentors, people that helped shape your game.
That's a great question. As I said, Jose Flicky Smith, who was
Okay.
coach forever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Harold Jones. Harold Jones has been around forever.
Shout out Harold. Shout out Harold.
George Raveling is Harold's mentor. So,
Yeah.
he's been, around some good people. Once again, just like Flicky, they've all touched all the greats in Inglewood. Paul, Stace. Stace was a two-time, football and basketball.
Sure.
A lot of myself, and they still to this day, have that putting their imprint, helping the youth succeed out the hood.
And Moose Bailey just chimed that Harold is now the head coach at Hawthorne High School. Harold Jones.
Yes, he is. Shout out.
So somebody that meant a lot to me as a coach, as sort of a mentor, is a man by the name of Charles Ellison. Rest in peace. Charles Ellison was important to me because I came in late and didn't really forge a relationship with Coach Ellison until I was a pro. Mm-hmm. So he would take me as a pro. We'd meet at Magic Johnson Starbucks every morning. I get him his coffee. I get him whatever he wanted.
Right.
I take him to Jim Gilliam Park.
Okay.
Right there in the jungles, and he would work on different things with my game, these unorthodox shooting drills. I credit Coach Ellison with expanding my range from, 22 regular three to like 27, 28 on the normal, on the regular. I credit Coach Ellison. Talk about Coach Ellison and his impact on the Inglewood community.
I'm so glad you mentioned Papa E. He definitely has to be in the conversation. He actually influenced me to go to Culver City after I left Westchester. Mm-hmm. So, along with Chris Ellison, his son, we both transferred to Culver City, and he made sure I got to school, to practice, back home, that green van. And I said, man, I'd be one. He's like a dad too. That's why we called him Papa E.
Yep.
So, having him in the mix during that phase of trying to gain some momentum in my game, pushed me. We worked out with Papa E. Everybody knows he had the gym at Rogers Park. If you were going to Rogers, you either playing 5-on-5 or working out with Papa E.
Yeah.
Papa E, legend.
And think about him too. He's a straight shooter. He's gonna tell you what time it is. He ain't gonna mince no words.
Like, what, did you hear me? And what I say?
He go pull. He does. He's grabbing your ear, and he's not pulling. He's not pulling any punches. Talk about someone else from the Inglewood days that was at Crozier that passed away as well. We have to shout out Coach Rick Stevenson. He was important to me as well. He coached me at Crenshaw. Talk about Coach Stevenson, Trey.
I love Rick. Rick basically was a big influence because he coached with Flicky at Crozier. And the reason I went to Crenshaw was because of Flicky, and Coach Stevenson. I went to Dorsey at first for about 3 or 4 days, and nobody even knows.
That's crazy.
That's in the book too, but that moving along from that.
We'll get there.
He said, baby, you need to go to Crenshaw. Want to win a title, baby, you let go. I'm picking you up after school, come up here and try out. I said, all right, I'm going to listen to my family. And but getting back to Coach Stevenson, you don't realize when we won the state and city, and they didn't recognize the other coach. They recognized Coach Duckett. They recognized Willie. But they said, over here, I said, man, you don't know who that is? And if you're not from Inglewood, you really wouldn't know.
And no, you're right. But it's one of those things like your favorite coach's favorite coach. That's who Coach Stevenson was. But so let me tell my story real quick. Yeah. Remember Trey as a junior? Remember when we were on our championship run and Coach Stevenson started this thing after practice where he would, so we'd have these long 6 to 8 hour practices from like 12 in the afternoon to like 8 at night.
Right.
And so by the end of it, we're all just tired and sitting there. And then they talk to us for another 2 hours. just really just drilling us in. So Coach Stevenson, when it'd be his chance to talk, he kind of would come up, he'd talk about some things, but then he'd always end it with the line championship or championship. Right. Championship or championship. Which one are you? Which one do you want? And which one are you? I used to love that. I used to love that line. I used to love that line, dude.
That was Coach. That was Coach. He was a classic. That reminded me of when Dick Vitale came to the school.
Practice.
To the practice that day, and he was spitting on everybody and getting his point across. That was funny.
Trey, Dickie, so
come on, you're not working hard enough. I said, and he still talks like that to this day. But Rick, Coach Stevenson, Coach Duckett, and Willie, that tandem, you know, and Tiny, you can't forget about
Caney's finest, Caney's bull, Tiny Edmund Flournoy. We used to do that to Coach Tiny. Trey's sound's going out. He must have a phone call coming in. He's back. Trey? You back, Trey?
No, we good. We okay. Are back, man.
Trey, Trey, really quickly, let's kind of segue, since we're on the topic. Let's segue into your first day at Crenshaw. What were your thoughts that very first day that you transferred into Crenshaw High School in 1993?
First day, I walked in. I saw about it looked about 10 PE classes all together in the really tryouts.
Trey, repeat that. Trey, can you repeat that? Your sound went out for a second. Can you repeat what you just said?
I walked in at Crenshaw during tryouts, and about 10 bleachers. Okay, 10 bleachers were just. It was. I mean, I'm talking about 10 PE classes worth of players were trying out up in the bleachers. I'm getting confused because I couldn't believe it. I said, not everybody is trying out. Blicky said, yeah, everybody's trying out. This is what it is. Crenshaw. Everybody want a piece of Crenshaw. They want to get a little bite of this. And I said, okay, this is right now. You know, so that was amazing just to see that and the influence that Crenshaw had on kids and wanting to have that Crenshaw jersey on. You know.
Yeah.
So and the thing when you walked, you saw the same thing.
Well, yeah. So I was coming from Montclair Prep, which was a small, tiny prep school in the Valley where, you know, Cher, Michael Jackson, Kim Kardashian ended up going to. So I was, you know, it was a white person school. The only black people were athletes, right? So, but what people didn't realize is I grew up, you know, 6th Day from Crenshaw. My mom grew up in that area. So I you know, it wasn't like some big shock. It was just during that time I was kind of assimilated into that. So, you know, I was on that stuff, Nirvana, listening to like rock music and like just being like that type of saying, dude, you know, smells like Teen Spirit and shit like that. Listening to Coast 103.5. So I get to Crenshaw and it's not so bad. I'm just like, because I went up there during the summer. I knew Coach West. I knew Miss Noble, all the teachers. So the thing about it is my grandparents, Trey, as you probably remember, were like LAUSD educators. My aunts, teachers at Washington, Dorsey. My coach, my uncle, Gene McAdoo, Coach Keyshawn, and Kevin Copeland, part of that Dorsey when Dorsey was the shit. My uncle was the offensive coordinator for those crews. So I'd be at the game. So I was intertwined into the LA inner city in a lot of different ways. It was just sort of like, okay, he's living in Bel Air and he's driving an hour a day to go to school in South Central. So you guys used to call me the Fresh Prince. I had the brand new Camry, you know, whatever. It was whatever.
You was rocking. You had that.
But here's the thing. I still didn't feel good about being at Crenshaw because everybody made fun of me. So when I get there, it's sort of this weirdness. People were kind of off of me. You didn't really like me at first. You were a big time hater of mine for the first 2 years of high school, and then on to college. But we'll revisit that later. No, I'm just kidding. But Trey, no, honestly, but that first day, I'm just like, I go by the quad where the tables are and everybody's kind of hanging out. And I see just like 100 dudes, like 6'2" to like 6'6". It's just like, it's just like a bunch of dudes between six. Okay, you had your Dexters and your Calvins that were, you know, 5'1", 4'11", but you had
they were already coming in.
And Keith, 5'5", Keith.
Yeah.
Keith Davis. You know, you had Keith who was short, but other than that, it was like everybody was tall. So I'm looking, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out, find my way. And I think you and I kind of, you know, made a little eye contact. I kind of knew who you were. Shout out Maul Gay to our classmate Jamal Gay.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what
Jamal.
time it is.
Yep, yep, yep.
You know what time it is. But Trey, I was just taken aback, man, and it was nervous, and I didn't know what direction things were gonna go. I didn't know if I was gonna make the team. I didn't go into Crenshaw thinking that I'm about to be the man. Like that's not what time that was. I knew that, you know, I'd have to compete and I have to play. And something that a lot of people
Right.
don't even realize, Trey, and maybe you can touch on this a little bit because he was an Inglewood guy, but Paul Pierce was checked in those first couple of weeks. You remember that?
I remember Paul was there. I remember Paul. A lot of people don't know that until he actually said that on his story. And I was surprised that he didn't stay. You know, I thought it would have been a perfect. You know, shoot, we probably wouldn't even play this much. The more horses you have on there, the quicker the game was going to be over. So it was
Yeah.
kind of disappointing to him for him not to stay. But Paul had his ways. He said it was a little bit too hectic over there. You know.
Yeah,
And
the funny thing, here's the funny story. Here's the funny story I heard like back in the day. But I think the story was that Paul, they were cousin Paul too much. He was like, everybody was cuz, hey cuz, hey cuz, hey cuz. Paul was like, I can't do this. I got to get out of here. It's just too much cousin going on. I'm like, I died laughing on that.
That's out of
Hey,
pocket. If you used to
real
hear one,
quick, speaking of cousin, rest in peace, Ronnie Arch. Rest in peace, Pooh.
man, we love you,
Um,
Pooh.
We
Love you,
love you,
Pooh.
Pooh. Pooh was our teammate. Tragically gunned down several years ago. One of the great, not only just players as far as one of the purest jumpers you'll ever see in your whole life, but
Mm-hmm.
truly a kind soul, truly a good kid. Ronnie, funny, the incredible personality.
Incredible.
Definitely miss Ronnie Arch. But Trey, let's kind of stay on Crenshaw. Talk about our preseason that junior year. We went to Alaska. The riots, LA riots, had just happened. Rodney King situation. Talk about sort of the setting, your mentality as a high school, 16, 17-year-old high school kid, just transferred into a school in South Central on the heels of the LA riots. What was your mindset?
It was interesting, very interesting. I didn't know what to expect. I was comfortable in Inglewood, and let alone Culver City. So it definitely was a turnaround of things. Just having to be more aware, knowing your surroundings. I talk about that in my book. Knowing your surroundings, but also get to know people, man. I ended up meeting a lot of people at Crenshaw. I ended up being cool. We just, we don't have any interior motives. We just go there to play ball, and that's what we here. We are here to give y'all a show, and if we can bring some peace out of that, then we did our jobs. We can stop cats from going here and there and say, hey, Trey, we coming to the game. We not gonna be doing none of this, wishy-washy stuff. We gonna get out those streets and come see y'all play. Put on a show for y'all. Put on a show for us. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put on a show. We all gonna put on a show. So that type of influence is unmatched. And
Yeah.
to this day, people still talk about that,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it. Go ahead, Trey.
No, I said special. You know how it is. You got the
Yeah.
same love I did.
No, we were unique, Trey, in the fact that, our people knew our dads. Your dad, obviously, an Ohio Sports Hall of Fame, correct? Ohio University Hall of Famer for Ohio. Yeah, yeah. Football, played in the league. My dad. So we kind of, you're living in Ladera. I was living in Bel Air. Ladera, for those people that don't know, is the Black Beverly Hills. Okay, Trey's being really humble. But it's the Black Beverly Hills. It's right. It's over there. It's the Black Beverly Hills. Keep it real, Trey. So we got treated a little differently at Crenshaw, Trey. We had on our team, we had like 5-6 dudes with cars too. That was unique. I remember you had a car. We all had.
Round boat.
Yeah. We all had cars. So think about 1993, LA. We at Crenshaw. We not only do we have like 12 people that just transferred in from all schools around the Southland, but we're mobile. We can be a unit. We start hanging out a lot. The camaraderie. I guess, when did you know during that season? At what point did you know that we were special?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I knew we were special when we came back from Anchorage, when we got cheated out there. I mean, we got cheated. We felt bad. We looked, you know, we had some panties on. We all played in some tights, and you know,
Yeah.
so it was.
Yeah, but Trey, let's not gloss over that. So we're in Alaska. Some really good teams. Monsignor McClancy, Alaska East, featuring Trajan Langdon. So that was our first look at Trajan Langdon, the general manager, I believe, for somewhere, the Cleveland Cavaliers, president of basketball ops right now. We were cheated. The referees cheated. They allowed a player that had fouled out to come back in the game. Coach West, he showed us the tape. It's known fact of the universe.
Yeah.
And yeah, Trey, and then but the shorts. Let's talk about the shorts. Let's talk about the uniform. It was one of the most embarrassing, humiliating times of my life as far as playing basketball. I didn't even want to play anymore. My shorts were, you know, it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's just like,
oh man, there were some coochie cutters, man. You know, it made us play harder though. We like, we gonna get out these uniforms. They gonna buy us some new uniforms. We ain't gonna be playing in these. Like, we're not gonna do that. Come on, man. We got too much talent, coach. Get us out of here. Get us out of these right now. So
yeah,
he got us. So we rolled us for about 3 or 4 games, maybe.
Yeah.
Then we came back from Alaska. Yep. He said these cats. Willie's like, hey, we got a team here. Let's do uniforms. You know.
Willie hits up Don Crenshaw, the Adidas rep at the time. Don Crenshaw laces us with like the Michigan stuff. We had the Michigan look on our uniforms. Oh, by the way, Trajan Langdon is actually the president of basketball ops at the Pelicans. So he's with the Pelicans. But Trey, once we figured it out, like for me, it was so I'll just tell you how I thought about it. So when we lost in the Washington High School Christmas tournament, you know, it was me versus Dayron Harris. Dayron Harris, 6'5", 275, big athletic, big boy. So but you didn't want to guard him, and I guarded him because you didn't want to guard him. Trey always made me guard guys. No, this is what Trey does. He makes me guard Tony Gonzalez. You made me guard Tony Gonzalez, bro. Like I'm like, why don't you guard? You jump higher than me.
I did. You know what happened? He was mad. I elbowed him. I said, you know, and it was an accident. I said, Kris, guard this dude before he go crazy.
In that voice, though. In that voice. That's how Trey would talk.
It was an accident. Come on, man. I said, but you did a good job, bro. More props to you.
So anyway, we ended up losing to Washington that year, our junior year, 92, 93 season. In that tournament, and everybody was just talking stuff about me. Oh, Dayron got in your shit. Oh, they got you. Oh, yeah, you can't. And I had 20 and 10. And I had 20 and 10. That's what would kill me. I had 20 and 10 on Dayron, but they won, and Coach West was down on me. They were talking about taking me out the starting lineup because I can't rotate on Rover, on the back line, all that type of bullshit that I was sick of. Oh, Kris can't come up. He doesn't rotate fast enough. It's like, bruh. Are you guys being serious right now? I'm looking. What am I? 25 and 15, and you talking about a rotation?
Yes.
And that's
they understand. You gotta let them coach. Go ahead, coach. The proof is in the pudding. Come on, relax, coach. We got this.
So we lost to Dayron and them, and this is happening, and then so, you know, over winter vacation of our junior year, that's when they really locked us in. Talk about what your thought process was when we were actually experiencing, literally, we'd get there at 11:30 for practice. We wouldn't leave till 7 at night. And I'm not kidding. Everybody's going to be like, I can't believe this. But those were the days of getting that off. Talk about that experience, Trey, and that physical, after we lost to Washington, all that damn practice that we had to go through.
You know what? That year, I'm not going to lie, I really wanted to go to school during the winter break. You remember Rico? And
yes. Cracking.
They'd be at school over there at Dorsey for 3 hours, so they missed practice. And I'm like,
cracking.
Well, can we just come? Can everybody come at the same time? We be there from like 11 to 5.
Wow.
I'm like, come on, coach. But you know, if we win in, and until you know, otherwise, we got to roll with it. But that's some of the longest practice I've had in my life. I never experienced that. I never will again. I'm sure no other players in the future will experience that. But it was special because we're here talking about it, and we remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. What it did was, Trey, it allowed us to really bond as a unit, really tighten up some stuff defensively that we needed to tighten up. I needed a longer learning curve on Rover. I mean, I'll be honest, I was a little frustrated, and I get frustrated here, I get turned up, but they were right. Coach Ducker was right. I was slow on the Rover rotation. There were tons of turnovers that I was missing out on, or because of my lack of rotation, I was, I was kind of a hitch on that. But so once we figured that part out, we started to become a well fine-tuned machine.
Yeah.
Trey, what do you remember about the modern day game at the sports arena for the Southern California Regional Championship?
Oh, that's a classic in time. I just got that tape. Shout out to Ronnie Flores from Cal High. He sent me that tape, and, hopefully I can work on this future project with, the one that I have finished now. But that day, that game, okay, all I remember is who missed the free throw?
Miles Simon, Arizona, most outstanding player in the Final Four, NBA, now coaching with the Lakers, Miles Simon.
That's what I remember. I remember Miles Simon. I fouled out. I got somebody, Marmot Williams, got an N1 off.
Yeah.
In the balls, I'm down there, hurt. I'm crying and hurt at the same time. I fouled out. So I'm like, this is crazy. So I remember the last 5 seconds. Miles is at the free throw line. He misses the free throw. And I remember Rico getting the rebound and throwing it to you. And I said, are we going to have time to get this shot off? And we're going to have Rico, long leg Rico. He pushed that thing up and he kick it to you. Half court. You get it. Your time and sense awareness is uncanny. You get it. You go, boop, boop, boop. And all I remember playing, all I remember after that is I'm running to you. I'm like, oh my goodness! You could see it on my day fans. Oh my damn!
Yo! The funniest thing. So it was a sea of red of modern day fans. They got the modern day sweaters. It looks like the University of Arizona. You got all them red faces too because they are salty. But then you had our side. You had the Crenshaw side. It was blue and gold, and then you had them. Hey, ho, hey, hip hop parade. And that's what the crowd was getting that off for about 4 minutes.
The Crenshaw crowd that was there in that arena.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. The energy in the building. I ran, I fell. Oh, I ran because I wanted to run right to modern day's crowd with all them red-faced folks. Man. And I ran and I fell. And I was like, oh, shit. And I just bit it. And I get up and I'm still celebrating. We're all just trying to find each other and this and that. We went on to win the state championship, Trey. As juniors, we ended up finishing ranked number 5 in the country. It was truly a phenomenal year, Trey, which brings me to our experience that summer. So now we're on everybody's radar. Everybody's talking about us. We're a big deal, Trey. College coaches are now picking up their recruiting efforts for us. And we got invited to the ABCD camp in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Sonny Vaccaro. Trey, talk about our experience. But real quick, I just want to give you guys the team. So it was me, Tremaine Fowlkes, J.R. Henderson, Alex Lopez, Trayvon Carmichael, NFL Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, Doug Gottlieb at the 1, Jelani Gardner at the 1.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. That was probably one of the funnest trips that I had with a group of guys besides ourselves at Crenshaw in a long time, because it was, you had to come ready. It wasn't no time for no games. You had Gerard Ward, rest in peace, Big Robert, Tractor Trailer. You had everybody there.
Yeah.
It was one for the match. One for the bush. You had everybody, Michigan's best.
No question.
Best.
But nationally though, it was Felipe. I mean, it was all kind of guys.
Right.
Look, D'Antonio, it was all type of dudes. So Trey, the thing I was telling people earlier, so that's the event that I felt like you really went from, being a certain kind of guy to this other type of guy. Like I'd always felt like, and I'll be honest with you, I always felt like, I was better than you. And we used to get into it. No, I did. I always thought, and everybody, there was a faction of guys that thought Trey was better. There's a faction of guys that thought Kris was better. And we get into arguments all lunch and nutrition on who, what do you, man, please, on who's going to be D1. Do I remember that? On who's going to be D1. So we get into these arguments. People would be like lawyers stating their case for why Trey is nicer than Kris. This is at lunch, at the quads, okay? At the quad tables at lunch. We get into these long, extensive conversations about who was better. But that ABCD camp, okay, Trey, what I saw you do against them guys out there, okay, it kind of just let me I sat back and I said, yeah, okay, this guy right fucking here. Because you just started taking dudes off the bounce. You got that feel with your jumper thing. And you up to that point, man, you were just dunking in offensive rebounds. So now you were just floor game. You're going through the leg to get to your little pull up real nice, stopping on a dime. You know how you get to your little spots and shit. I'm like, damn, 2-3 dribbles in front of Nolan Richardson, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, the whole nine, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, the whole nine. You remember they were right over there. They were right there, Trey. I will never forget. Stephon Marbury was at that camp with us. I will never forget your performance. Your performance at that camp kind of just separated yourself from me, in my opinion, and you kind of hit another type of level and another type of stride. I was happy for our senior year when Coach West moved me to the perimeter. He put you and Leon down low, and he moved me to the perimeter. So now you had a lot more space to work with. I was wetting you up from the mid-range, and obviously I took a couple of threes, but not so much. But that's the year. Our senior year is the year that you started doing the hang lobs. You were catching the lob and like pausing in the air. So Trey would catch lobs and just be like, and then dunk it. He'd be like, oh, that's the hang, and then dunk it. Yeah, you were doing that. That was your thing.
I might have started that. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, no, so Penny. So we saw Penny do it. But Trey, talk about ABCD though. I mean, you talked about it a little bit. I just want to know what got into you. What got into you, bruh?
Well, that year. You got City Player of the Year, and deservingly so. You saved us. You saved us. Countless times. Capistrano Valley.
Oh, nice memory.
Yeah, you did. Modern day. And I'm looking at your game, and I say, okay, I gotta add a couple more pieces to the repertoire. And I'm looking at other people's games, and I say, you know what? I have to be more well-rounded. This is not the position that I want to be playing in college. Not want to. I'm gonna have to play small forward. I'm gonna have to learn the wing, and that was my intentions to come in for the year and say, let me get my small forward game up. Let me get my dribble. Let me get my handles up. So I said, I'm gonna implement that in my game this year, and it was a blessing. It was a blessing for us to go as a unit, because I needed that support from my West Coast brothers, And when y'all tell me, great, hooping, you good to go. I said, okay, I need to keep working on this. This is working right now. So
it certainly was.
You helped fuel that, man, because you had all that mid range. You was a mid range killer. I said, I gotta add some of that in my repertoire. If not now, definitely later when I get to Cal. So I'm gonna give you some credit. What credit I never gave you, I'm gonna give you a little.
Well, thank you, because you never really gave me credit for anything in our lives together. That's the first time Tremaine Fowlkes, ladies and gentlemen, has ever given me any props for anything. I appreciate it, Trey. I'm gonna savor this moment. I'm glad it's recorded. Second. Trey. So Trey, I'm gonna fast forward. We kill him on our senior year. I could talk about South Carolina, and I can talk about why we didn't make the McDonald's game, and I can talk about the people that made it over us, but I don't really feel like it. I want to talk about your freshman year at Cal. So let's fast forward to 1995. You're at Cal Berkeley playing for Todd Bozeman. You guys have a hell of a team. There's a game in particular that I remember. You came down to Pauley Pavilion. Now, we were like in the driver's seat for the conference. We had been playing well all season. You guys came into Pauley with an attitude, and you guys smacked us. You had, I think, 24 in Twizelf, but I just remember the rebound you got on our bench, on our side. It was a scramble. Everybody was trying to get the board. You go down, and you come out of the damn scrum and just raise up and gorilla that motherfucker like, yeah! It was unbelievable, bro, because Ed O'Bannon, J.R. Henderson, I mean, it's like big George Zedek. Everybody's trying to get the ball. Trey just comes up, and straight up gorilla, bangs it out, yanks on the rim, then looks at me like, and gives me the Trey, the Trey.
Did I give you that look?
You gave me the little, and you were doing your little run. The Trey run when you do your head, you do the Trey run. Talk about that game and talk about that game in particular, but talk about your Pac-10 Freshman of the Year season. What got into you, buddy?
I felt I had to prove something, man. You know, you guys had one of the best recruiting. You guys had four. You guys had a lot. You guys were really ranked high for recruiting.
Sure.
You know, getting you guys to UCLA top 10. We had Jelani. We had myself.
You guys are pretty good. I mean, you guys are pretty good.
Pretty cool, but go ahead.
No, y'all were handing out bags too. So we didn't have bags like you guys had at Cal. You guys were getting big bags, big duffel bags of chips, buddy. So that's a little different for us, okay? We were homegrown talent doing it for the love of the game. You guys were living that bag life, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
I mean, that's in the book. You know, if you want to get details on that, that's in the book. It's not as good as it sounds, though. But I thank you for dressing it up, though. But you got Tony, you got Jelani, and I, and we didn't really come in with a hype like Jelani did. You know, Jelani came in with a lot of hype, and deservingly so, 6'6" point guard. And, Tony came in with some hype from football and basketball. And, I was still moving up because, I had to change my position from power forward, and shout out to Coach Payne at Cal. He made sure that I was equipped to play small forward, and we would work hard on that all the time.
Which Coach Payne? Which Coach Payne?
Charles Payne.
Wait a minute, he was at Cal? He's a scout for the Brooklyn Nuggets. Yo, he's a scout for the Brooklyn Nets. He was at Stanford. I didn't know he was at Cal. That's wild, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so he said, "Hey Trey, you a small forward. We're gonna make you a small forward." So at that time when we played you guys, excuse me, I was pretty much. I had confidence. My board was there. Coach Payne said, "Hey, your folks is here. Let's get busy." And when I got in the gym, I couldn't see. I couldn't see my folks, and I said, "Oh, they put them way up there." Oh, okay. I said that's what we got. Yeah, I can't even see. I said, okay, that's how UCLA gonna do us. They're gonna give us some little tickets up in the nosebleed. So you got to find different ways to fuel. Get that fire going, that intensity. And that's one thing I did. I said, okay, since I can't really see them up there, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go ahead and make sure they hear what's going on down here. So that was something I had to give y'all.
Yeah.
Take it. Half glass, half full, half empty. Ironically, you came back the next year and did what when you played Cal?
Well, so this is what happened. So when we came up and played you guys up there, I think in like the Haas or whatever that little gym was, we blew you guys.
Harmon, great energy.
Yeah, Harmon. So
go ahead.
No, you go.
Did you know I suspended that game before that game played?
Yes, I do know. But that was because I didn't see you. So I was like, whatever, Trey's not here. I mean, Trey Fresno's being Trey Freezer. So anyway, this is what happened that game. So listen to this, y'all. And this is back in the day when people would, verbally, they would. When, it wasn't like now where you can't call. If you call somebody fat, you're getting like, you might lose your job and your whole thing is like falling apart for bullying. So I get in the game at the end of the game, 30 seconds left. I get in the game and the whole crowd just starts yelling, "Johnson is fat. Johnson is fat." And just like, it was like a scene out of Stand By Me when they did it to Lardass. Remember they did Lardass. So I had a whole Lardass experience at Cal with these fans, right? So me, Trey, I was humiliated. I wanted to cry and I was like tucking in my jersey, all trying to hide the rolls, and I was like, oh man, this is fucked up. Like, what the fuck? So anyway, that hurt. We win a championship. I go, and this is I'm gonna skip through it. I go to Atlanta, get one of my mom. I ended up losing 55 pounds that summer. I come back the next season. We're playing Cal. You aren't playing that game. You aren't playing.
Yeah, they threw a suspension on your boy. They was hating on your boy.
That's okay. But Sharif was, and Ed Gray was. So I was ready for those two dudes, right. Sharif Abdur-Rahim and Ed Gray, 2 first-round draft picks, and Sean Marks and Yogi and all kind of guys that played in the NBA. So what do? I'm a sophomore. We playing Cal. I never forgot it. I dropped 25 in the first half, finished with 36 on that ass, and sort of started my thing of where I would own Cal every time I played them the rest of my UCLA basketball career. But, Trey, that's to answer your question about the Cal experience, but this is your interview, and I want to keep this going. Let's talk about when you left Cal, whatever happened, happened. I want to get into Fresno State and Jerry Tarkanian.
Yeah.
Talk about Tark and Fresno
Shark.
State.
Tark the Shark, rest in peace, Tark. He was a legendary coach. I mean, goodness gracious, I'm saying so many rest in pieces on this interview, man. He's legendary. He is someone that I always watched growing up. UNLV with Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon. So going to Fresno was big for me. One thing that was disappointing was I didn't get to play with James Gray. Gumby was influential in my decision to go to Fresno State too. So it really didn't close out the way I wanted to, but I still got to put in my work. So getting down there, I thought we had an all-star team, and this
talk about who else was on the team.
You had Avondre Jones, you had Winford Walton, you had Ray Austin, you had Chris Herron.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! You had Terrence Roberson, who was a 4-time Parade All-American.
Kenny Bruner.
My goodness, we had a deep squad. Disappointed that we couldn't take advantage of the opportunities we had.
And so my question is, and the funny thing about that squad, what a lot of people don't realize, was that one of the top NBA writers, NBA personalities as far as media, Adrian Wojnarowski, used to cover you guys for the Fresno Bee or whatever that local paper was. Woj used to cover that team. He's told me that on a number of occasions. I had a chance to spend some time with him back in Milwaukee at my dad's jersey retirement. Mm-hmm. What happened with that team? You guys got into a ton of off-the-court drama, Tremaine, and I know you're going to cover a lot of it in your book, but why was it so wild up in Fresno State, bro?
So many different personalities, on that team, and not actually getting a hold to the city first and just thinking that everybody is just going to lay down for us because we're the big show in town. Think we can do whatever we want. No, it doesn't work like that. It's not a professional team out there. So Fresno is, you go to Fresno State, you are the professional team.
Right.
And it was interesting because it's half glass, half full, half empty. You could take it and run with it and keep your head and your nose clean, or you can get in trouble. And then that trouble is going to be twice as magnified. And now next thing you know, you're out of Fresno as quick as you came. So they weren't playing with us. We had to come there and make sure we was on our P's and Q's. We didn't dot all our T's and dot all our I's and cross all our T's. But at the end of the day, we were able to get some postseason play, and that helped out a lot.
Yeah, you guys were one of my favorite teams to watch on television. I've always wondered, however, about Chris Herron. Was he that cracking in high school? In college, was he a wild boy at the time, or was he trying to figure out his life? I just don't know what transitional period he was in during college.
He was in a transitional period in college.
Okay. So he was transitioning out of going hard on that shit into kicking that shit.
And I'm gonna tell you, the boy, has will, heart, courage. He ride for you, and a lot of that stuff you just push to the side because he came to play every night. Yeah. I don't know, for him to be able to do that. That was big, and now he's telling his story right now. So for him to tell his story, yeah, I appreciate him doing it.
Yeah, and guys, we're at that age where, look, man, ain't nothing to be hiding no more. The shit is out there, okay? We all know what Chris Herron went through, okay? So it's nothing to hide. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. We go talk about it. This is KJ Live. I'm on with Tremaine Fowlkes, and we talking about some real stuff. And that's just what time it is. That's just what time it is over here. Shoot, I went through stuff. I got suspended. They leaked the details of my suspension in college to the media, and I had to undergo a 6-month rehab program in Marijuana Anonymous, like Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to attend meetings 4-5 times a week. I had to take drug tests 3-4 times a week. Yeah, I had. Yeah, talk to me. Yeah, you went. Yeah, no, but honestly, you were in the program. Look, I
Right.
was doing shit. I was doing shit like bringing in other people's piss in like Seabreeze bottles, sneaking it in here. And then, when they weren't looking at the dick, they're not looking at your dick on the piss. And I'm just like sneaking it out. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, he's because
Yeah.
our trainers sometimes they wasn't always like, oh, let me see if he's pink. They'd be like, hey, let's fill that cup up. They'd be like, yeah, fill the cup up.
They gonna,
You know, and I'd be sneaking some clean piss. Oh yeah, I passed for that day.
right.
But so this, make no mistake, like I'm an open book, man. So if we gonna talk about some shit, let's talk about some shit. And I in college in the 90s, people got to understand it was popping.
Mm-hmm.
We had everything at our disposal. We were the man. And at times, there's a lot of things that can knock you off your path. People say, why didn't you make the league, Kris? Well, guess what? Kris was fucking partying a lot. Kris is getting drunk. He's falling asleep in the bushes. You know what I'm saying? He's doing a bunch of stuff that he shouldn't be doing at the time. He's drinking, he's smoking, he's doing all type of, ecstasy and all type of stuff.
At the same time. I mean, we had some fun. The whole thing was to stay out of trouble. You can have some fun, but just stay out of trouble. We don't want you on the news,
Yeah, that's where,
we don't want you on the front page of the sports. Do what you got to do, but don't get in trouble. Come to play every day, and that's
yeah.
the job.
See, that wasn't what I was on. So I didn't care about trouble. All that trouble. If anybody bothered me, talked any type of shit, it's popping. Okay, that's how it was with me.
You know what?
That's how it was with me at the time.
KJ, why was
all the fat boy stuff? Think about it, Trey. Everybody always made fun of me, calling me fat my whole life, from everyone in my life. And back then, it was laughed at. So the whole gym will laugh. No coach is sitting there, hey, don't call him fat. You guys are laughing.
Averaging 30, though. It don't matter.
It doesn't matter, bro. So you have to understand what that does to a person. It's called bullying. So what it does to a person's mental, it keeps them on edge and ready to fuck people up. So you wonder why I'm a hothead, because I'm tired of people calling me fat.
Right.
Why else? I mean, wouldn't you say you were something? Say you were something that wasn't nice in public, and everybody kind of had. Yeah, please, off top, dog. Come on, man.
You know what? I feel you, but then again, I'm like, damn, Stoney, you got way more game than anybody that's saying something to you. Like,
don't matter. That's not how I get down. That's not how I get down.
Hey, play me for some money. Play me for some money.
People, if you can play me for some money, or you can, or we can. Hey,
get your ass on in.
Hey, Trey, my thing was play me for money, or we can go in the back and lock the door and just handle some business. And whatever that looks like, that's what that looks like. Okay, that's what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But moving on, enough about me. You hijacked my interview and you made it about me. And I asked you not to do this yesterday when we had our call. I want to talk about a very special moment that you achieved. Mm-hmm. It was 1998, and it was both of our year to go into the draft. Mm-hmm. So I had gotten some assurances from Utah that they were going to take me, in the late second round.
Right.
So I'm sitting there going through the draft, and here's with the 54th pick. I'm sitting there because I'm a superstitious guy. As you see the 5'4", you see the 5'4" in my son, you see the 5'4" in my dad, Josiah the 5'4". So the 54th pick comes up, and guess who it is? Guess who the 54th pick of the 1998 NBA draft? It is my boy, Tremaine Fowlkes. So it was you.
Oh, me.
It was you.
Hey, oh yeah,
it was you. It was you.
But yeah, oh yeah.
But Trey, so I'm like, Trey's the 54th pick. But then I didn't talk to you or anything, but I'm like, damn, I didn't get drafted. So I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. Trey, talk to us about how it felt to hear your name called as the 54th pick of the 1998 NBA draft.
It was bittersweet. I worked out for a lot of teams, actually, that said they might take me at late first or early second. Eddie Jordan, I was a for sure lock in Sacramento. And he gets fired on the day of the draft. I'm like, well,
damn.
Oh boy, this was me playing for the Kings, and Seattle, I thought I'd be a good fit for Seattle. So by the time that draft came out, I was so confident that I would go high. I had a draft party, down at the Promenade. By the time the 50th, 45th pick came, I'm just thanking everybody that they came out to support me. Thank you. I'm about to finish off my night and go somewhere else. And then by the time the 4th pick came, I'm walking down the street. Everybody's running out the bar. Trey, come back. You got drafted. So it changed. It changed the climate. It was from sad to happy to, did I just get drafted? All right, cool. I'm taking it all in. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hey, we back in here. I'm back in. Beers on me. Beers. Beer. I said, all beers. Y'all can have all the beers. All beer jugs of beers for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. That's dope. It was a special day. I always wondered how you celebrated that and just how you felt because you achieved something by making the league, by being drafted that, only 5,000, I think, people, well, as far as playing in the NBA, there's only been 5,000 people that have ever played in the NBA. And you know how important it is for us that dedicate our life to the game
Right.
and play on high levels. It was like do or die. It was one of the most important accomplishments of all time. So I wanted to shout you out and give you your props for getting drafted and making it to the NBA. But Trey, let's talk about that first stop, okay? The Denver Nuggets. Now that was the lockout year, correct?
Right.
So you were so we're at home, we're working out, we're hanging out a lot, me, you, Rico. They lift the lockout, and now Tremaine Fowlkes has to report to Denver. And I don't know whose idea it was for us to drive out. Talk about that.
Hold on, let me grab this water real quick so we can get this started.
I know I need me some water too. I wish I had somebody to bring something, but I don't.
Water real quick.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's good.
I might have to take my shirt off. I'm a little hot. Hold on real quick.
Well, take your shirt off. Take another
I'm
sip.
not going to get, I'm going to have on a shirt underneath, but hold
on. How y'all doing out there, y'all? I'm glad y'all tuned in, man. I love y'all out there. We're coming out in there, man. We got some stories, up-to-date stories, tournament stories. I mean, hey. Oh, yeah, come on, man. You supposed to have that. You supposed to have that. Oh. I don't know what the beach hat though, like you on Venice.
I'm always on that. That's my style. I like turquoise. I like yellow. I like orange things, guys. No, Trey, talk to me. Talk to me about the Denver thing.
The Denver was classic. If you don't remember, once they said come up for a couple of days, I hopped in. You hopped in. We all drove. Me, Rico. We went up to Denver.
Yeah.
And we drove in a snowstorm. If you don't remember that, we were in a snowstorm. We're driving.
I remember.
Somehow we get stuck in the median. Snow everywhere. I'm panicking. You panicking. I'm like, we might have to dig ourselves out of here. I'm pressing the gas, but I'm digging the top, more and more in the dirt. I can't press this no more. We're going to have to call some help. And by the chance of grace of God, a big rig pulled over. And he gets out and he walks a little bit over there. He says, "Your guy's stuck." I said, yeah. He said, do you have 4-wheel drive? I said, "Yes, we do." He said, "Put it in that and you'll be all right." I looked at him. I said, full wheel. He said, "Easy." I said, okay, we good. I'm telling you, that snow was coming down. We were
bruh.
Next thing, we from LA.
Yeah, please.
Storms, okay?
Come on.
So that right there was panic. Thank you, Jesus, that somebody pulled over and saw that we was in dire need of help. And they actually pulled and helped us, and we was gone.
I
talk about the story, though. That's classic.
It's classic, Trey. And the crazy thing is we drove from LA to Denver. You're going through Utah and Colorado and all this other stuff. Here's the thing about it, though. I think we were playing. I think that Corrupt had came out. Corruption, the new Corrupt had just dropped, and so we was all over it, just on repeat. It was so sick. But remember we were those long stretches, 200 miles, where we're driving like 6 miles an hour because you had to go super slow, and you're feeling like the car's like sliding, and you got people in front. I mean, it was one of the most ridiculously terrifying experiences of my life. But I was with my brothers, and we never lost faith. We were really nervous, so we were on some like prayer. We were on some real serious like bonding stuff, and that really kind of. I mean, after that experience, I knew I had 2 friends for life after that. But Trey, let's talk more about just the NBA experience. I mean, of all your stops, and you made a few stops. What was your best and most favorable or pleasant NBA experience?
My best NBA experience, man, coming right now off the top of my head would have to be scoring 17 points against KG. You know, that was my career high. Did it against a Hall of Fame guy. That's something I would never forget. Man, did I do that day? You know, when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. And I remember Alvin Gentry just saying, Trey, they're going to double down on Elton. When you get the ball, just shoot it when he passes back out. I said, okay, I'll shoot it, coach. He said, you know, Alvin, just shoot the ball. I said, all right.
So this is Clippers, Minnesota. Is Stefan on the team?
Yes.
Is Stefan Marbury on the team at the time?
Stefan is playing with Phoenix, I believe.
Okay.
He's playing with Phoenix.
Okay.
He's playing with Phoenix. Him and Amari Stoudemire.
Okay.
So
okay.
we have Troy Hudson was the point guard then. Troy Hudson.
Yeah, I know Troy. I know Troy very well.
We had the same agent, so I know Troy. Shout out Troy.
Yeah, shout out Troy. Shout out Troy.
It was definitely like, man, this is my career high. I love it. I'm always gonna remember that. So that's a moment in time that just is priceless. It's priceless.
Trey, what was it like guarding Kobe Bryant?
Man, Kobe was off the chain. You want to hear a quick Kobe story real quick?
Sure, we got time.
Man, you know, seeing Kobe win championships, you know, before I even stepped on that floor was amazing. And then to come back to LA and actually play against him was great. But the original story to that was he was wearing my jersey on Moesha. My boy had called me and said, man, you're wearing your Crenshaw jersey. He said, I got a boot on because, you know, I got my legs popping across the floor, trying to be like, what? And I see Kobe with my jersey on, talking to Brandy. I said, what? So his name was Hightower. It's everything but the folks, you know, it's just, well, we didn't have our names on our jersey anyway, but his name was Hightower, you know, but he had the 24. So I'm like, oh, right to that moment, I got some more energy. I got inspired again. You know, that was something that I said, okay, I'm going to use that to know, because I know Kobe got to know me right now. If he wearing that jersey, you took some time to wear 24 cool. And we both actually was 24 in the league too, which was very tight. But for him to actually come after my second season during a preseason game in Bakersfield when we played the Lakers, and he said, you know what? He stopped me. Actually, I was already out. He was walking out. And he said, he came up to me and said, hey, finally made it, huh? He's like, congratulations. And he said, keep working. I said, thanks, Cole. You feel me? So that story right there was classic. And then for me to still be guarding them up until Detroit, you know, it's something that's priceless, you know. And I just enjoyed that time for him communicating to me and saying congratulations, because a lot of people didn't tell me congratulations when I got to the league. You know, It was like, should have been here. You are wasting time. You know, hey, but nobody these injuries and you know it was some setbacks. You know, nobody knows I tore both of my Achilles. I tore my left and I tore my right.
When? Well,
you know, I tore one before I got in the league, and then I tore one after when I was with, rest in peace, DJ Dennis Johnson, Boston great. He was my coach in Florida Flame.
Oh wow!
And that was a blessing. You know, he was a coach with Gentry, Alvin. You know, Clippers, and then he went ahead and got the job after he found Alvin. Then he went and coached the Florida Flame. Yeah. And DJ was a great dude, man. DJ was
rest in peace.
Rest in peace, DJ too. But you know, I tore my Achilles that season about 30 games in, about 20 games in, and he always felt bad because he said, Trey, I should have kept you out because you were going to get a call up that next day to New Jersey. I said, you know what, DJ, that's not the point, man. You don't worry about that. It was going to happen anyway. If it was going to happen up here, up there, it was going to happen. So, you know, I just took it in stride. It was disappointing for me to be like, I tore this another one, but, you know, you get past injury.
Yeah, I tell you what though, Trey, that Kobe impersonation is legendary. Can you just do it again? I need to be silent. Wait, just let me be silent. Let me be silent, and then you knock it off. What did Kobe say to you?
He said, "Hey, you finally made it, huh? Congratulations. Keep working." I'm like, thanks, Cole. I appreciate it, Cole. You know, my voice, hey, thanks, Cole. He's like, hey, congratulations. I'm like, dang, with your deep voice, bro, I'm older than you. No, man,
I don't want to mess up the sound. I don't want to mess up this sound. This is classic stuff. You are watching KJ Live. I'm Kris Johnson on with NBA champion Tremaine Fowlkes. We're talking about the time that Kobe Bryant congratulated him on making it to the NBA. What truly a phenomenal moment. Trey, let's talk about your book and your documentary. We got about 22 minutes left on the show. I just kind of want to find out what your book is about first and what inspired you to write it.
A couple things inspired me. First was this pandemic. You know, this pandemic has stressed a lot of people out, and I really tried to turn that stressful energy into creating something, you know, during these times that will have an impact, not just on me, but the youth. But you know what, to tell you the truth, I wrote this book 10 years ago. I freehanded this book. And by the way, you know the name of the book?
No, what is it?
My Journey from the Shaw to the Chip. Okay, so you got something, you know.
The Tremaine Fowlkes story.
You got let me see, you got a Crenshaw. You got a Crenshaw shirt from Crenshaw, okay, from Crenshaw.
Okay.
To the Chip. So you got the trophy here to the Chip, y'all, from the Shaw to the Chip.
Wow.
Here, to the Shaw to the Chip. So it's a special story, but it's a three-part story. It's a three-part. It's three parts, Kris, and you were there. So you were there for part one and part two, you know, because we've been well traveled, you know. You know, we've stopped and been on the Hog in the CBA league. That's the Hog League, you know.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We've had our great times at Crenshaw. We might be the best two starting tandem to come out of LA City, you know, and to otherwise somebody have to speak up and tell me what they think. But getting back to that, the book, it covers a lot of areas, and I think it's a blessing because I wrote this book 10 years ago, but now I have 10 more years of stories to give you. Okay. And if somebody stole that book, and I was very disappointed, and it took a lot of energy out of me. And it's funny that I found this energy during this pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, as much as, you know, things weren't working out for everybody, I found a way to open up my third eye and get this out here, man. Everybody.
Nice. And where can people find it? So when do you anticipate the release date to be?
This book will be about 2 months from now. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about Amazon. It's an audio book too. So we're going to do ACX Audible, and we're going to do Amazon. I'm checking a couple other publishing deals out, you know, just to make sure. But Amazon covers a large region, you know, definitely outside the States, you know.
No, you can go nowhere. You can't go wrong with Amazon.
Many regions over in Europe, Asia. So I would like to put as much as I could.
And make sure when you do the promotional tour for the book that you come here first, and then we do a whole thing. I get to read it first before everybody.
Yeah, you're gonna get the audio,
interview.
The hardback, and you won't sit.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I'm excited for you, Trey. I know you've been working hard on something else as well. That's in sort of that you've had these creative juices kind of stirring and flowing, and so over the last year, you've made some inroads in capturing footage for a documentary.
Yes, I'm probably about 50%, 60%. You know, I've told you that before when we spoke a couple months ago that I was going to try to get some footage.
Yeah.
And if I could get the footage, and I'm about 50, 60% completed. But one thing, if anybody knows how to get some game footage inside that gym of Crenshaw Cougars with about 40 banners up in there, that's going to make a documentary. I've got all the state CIS, you know. I've got the modern days, you know, I got the Jesuits. I need something with that banner in there. I need to see all the banners out the Raptors, Crenshaw State, 1960 all the way up to 2008. I need to see all
that. Yes, sir.
If people see that in the documentary, I'll bring a little light to how the energy was. I mean, we had a DJ. What schools having DJs like we had before the games, man?
Trey, remember Remember, time for some action. Time for some action. Time for some action. Hey Trey, we was turned up. Time for some action. Red man. Oh man, that was crazy.
That was it right there. We was ahead of our time, but we deserved it because we won. You know, when you win, you're able to get a lot of things that's going to happen for you. You know, and
yeah, that
was a blessing right there for us to be able to have fun right in the hood, right off of Crenshaw and Slauson. We right there.
Hey, somebody, hey, Marquise Diamond said, remember the Penn State? Hey, hey. Hey, the whole crowd.
Out there, y'all already know Crenshaw. You went to Crenshaw, you know about the Penn State. You feel me? That's a classic dance too.
Yo, remember. Hey, I won't say what Penn State stands for. What the Penn in Penn State stands for. It's not appropriate. But shout out to Penn State and NIC. So let's move on, Trey, because I have to wrap this up. Okay, I have to wrap it up. Unfortunately, you took 35 minutes to join, and so it pushed me back from my next interview, my guy, and I love you to death. But I wanted to know this. I wanted to know this point, this last point, okay? When you look back on your career, when you look back on your life, you know, it's filled with ups and it's filled with downs, highs and lows, like you say, from the shawl to the chip.
Yeah.
If you could change anything about your journey, what would it be?
I would have been a little bit more patient. You see, I went to about 3 high schools, 2 universities. I'm well traveled. And one thing about me, I didn't have a lot of patience. So if I didn't like the situation, I'll leave. And so my book tells you how to be more patient, man. Learn from your mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes over and over again. You know, that's in the book too. You know, this book is a learning lesson, man. A lot of youth will learn something, one to grow on, you know, reach one, teach one. And for a lot of my boys out there who got kids, my friends who got kids out there that might be following the same path we did, the same pathway, this would be good for you to read. You know, you're not too young to read a grown man book if you're 15, 16, 17. You need to be reading this, you know. And that's some things I would say. Be more patient. I probably would never been at Fresno if I just would have stayed at Cal, you know, and say, hey, let me just get my money in my buckets here, shut my mouth, and take care of business, you know?
You
think about the mistakes will happen early. You'll understand as you get older what mistakes not to make, but you then kind of set yourself back in certain situations. You know, I would never sit out a year. If you don't have to sit out a year, why sit out a year? I could have played at Cal that year. I could have been mad and still played. Now I'm happy sitting out a year.
You look back and
so you have to kind of weigh that stuff out, and all that stuff is in the book, and it's also the journey while I'm in the NBA and my journey out the NBA, because, you know, professional athletes, we got to plan better coming out, and I'm part of that too. You know, we're being stuck, and there's not a lot of options for us. You know, once the league spit you out, they pick you, pour water on you. You know.
Yeah, and here's the thing:
they get you good when you're in there, but
you know, So but like we talked about,
it's politics forever, man.
We talked about it yesterday. We talked about it yesterday, Trey, in our pre-production call for this show. It's like we spend all of our life receiving a certain type of job training, right? So that has to do with basketball. All of our life, basketball players are grown up. We're raised to do things in basketball, from high school, college, and if you're lucky enough to be one of the select few to play on a professional level, then you receive like that advanced level, doctorate level basketball instruction. So you spent your 20, 30 years, you know, you retire about 33, 34. So your whole 20 years, you just did basketball. You come home from overseas or out the NBA and you try to get some type of employment within the basketball realm, because that is what your job training your entire life has prepared you for. But what we see by and large is there's no love for ex-basketball players. It's almost like, you know, you see the commentary on people that talk on. So you got like Charles Barkley. Everybody hates Chris Webber. Everybody hates Reggie Miller. Everybody hates this. The bad job that all these former players are always doing, it seems, according to the mainstream, as head coaches. And so you get people, they talk about you, they just down you. It's disgusting. It's the most disgusting phenomenon I've ever witnessed. And they act like because you didn't make the NBA that you're worthless as a basketball player. It's a culture that exists out there like that. My thing is, you can't, if we haven't had the job training, we haven't had the internships, we haven't had the experience to work in finance, to work in, as a whatever field that you're talking about, then how do we expect it to get these jobs? And that's why you see so many former athletes struggling, because the people in the positions of power to hire former athletes do not do the hiring. They hiring somebody that don't look like us. It's about 5'2", just looking like a whole nother type of being. And you're just like, damn, dog. Like, that's what's up. And people always, they paid their dues. Oh, they paid their dues. They worked so hard. They paid. I'm like, so we didn't pay our fucking dues? So what did we pay our whole life? What is that called?
They setting them up for the positions, right? We didn't pay no dues, right?
Man, these people, man, these.
Tell me about it.
Seriously.
The politics really is frustrating that, because I actually went to some NBA assistant coaches programs in New York in 2015 and 2017, really based for players that exit the league and were looking to get back in the league in some form of way, scouting, player development, coaching, and they ran these programs and they were really good. They ran these programs for about 3 or 4 years and then poof, they disappeared. And there's no consistency as trying to get, players back in, as quick as much as they have a program to make sure you're good enough to get, you're good to go when you're in the league, but do they have an exit program? Which they need to have an exit program. You see these players going crazy, man. I see Delonte getting himself right again, but he's just a mini, losing their mind, and they have to have some type of outlet for players just to even come to and be able to say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Do you have a plan for me? It shouldn't have to be, the
hit rock bottom.
Oh, it should be open arms. You're like, oh, sure, we have options for you. And that's not the case, man. And it's a blessing that we do have a will and a desire to keep going and doing stuff that's going to eventually tap into these young youths. You don't know who's listening to us,
But Trey, also, Trey, onto your point, you also have a major platform as an NBA alum. There's the Retired Players Association. You should get active in that organization, Trey, and try to foster change by bringing awareness to things, work with them, try to bring, get a bunch of retired players together, present something to them, see if they're playing ball. That has to be the move from an organizational level to actually foster real change. Don't you think?
I think that's real. I think that's it's a lot of ideas that need to just be followed through. To me, the Player Association they get kind of lazy. I get more emails about my dues. The dues are up again.
Imagine that, bro.
You want the money, but come on, let's bring some. Let's bring something behind it. I would like an email saying, hey, we're going to be planning this to do this. If you're going to want my dues, if you want me to pay my dues, because I haven't been in a player association for about 4 years. I went to the players assistant coaches program. So I said, you know what? Let me get me. So that's
the fact,
get about them. But right now, it's about, we got to create for ourselves and take what we got back and say, can you do something with this now? Now I'm coming back with something, with a platform. I'm promoting this now. Can you help me promote my book? Can you put this in place? What can you do to get this out here? To get everybody to, get the youth with, do an NBA junior camp and let me get these books out to some of these kids. So I have a plan, but you have to go get it once you got something to present, because it's politics, and
it is. So you just have to
out there.
You just have to have a really tight presentation. You got to get guys on board that are like-minded individuals. But Trey, man, I just want to say, man, I'm proud of you and everything that you're doing, everything that you've accomplished. I'm not who I am today without you, my brother. And that is just the facts of the matter. You have always been an inspiration to me, man. I'm excited about the book, the documentary. Anything I can do to help you with that, let me know, brother. And most of all, though, thank you for coming on the show today, brother. I love you, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Trey is frozen. After the I love you, you're frozen now? Jesus. I was hoping to get on I love you back, but I guess not. Text me. I'm going to stop the conversation. Thank you, guys. That was Tremaine Fowlkes. Appreciate all y'all. Shout out Reggie McFerrin, our teammate from high school. Remo, East Coast 967. Shout out to my dudes, Ian, Coach Hayes, Zelly Zell, Keys. Everybody that's in the chat. I got to roll, man. I got to roll.